Hi, I'm Kyle Dillahay. I'm one of the lucky recipients of the TAIP grants that the City of Tacoma has given out. And we're in my studio here today so that I can introduce you to the wet plate collodion process. It's an antique photo process that was developed in 1851 by an Englishman named Scott Archer. It was a popular process through the 1880s. At that point, dry plate photography came in, much more convenient. But just to show you what a wet plate image looks like, this is a portrait I made of this couple on glass. So we took the sheet of glass, I coated it with a collodion material, sensitized it with silver nitrate, put it in the back of my camera, exposed it to light, and then took it into my dark room and processed it, and we get the silver image on glass. This is a positive with a piece of black metal behind it. It becomes a positive, and if you take that black metal away from it, then you have a glass negative. And with this glass negative, what was very popular to do was to use this as a negative to produce multiple prints. This is a portrait that I made using the exact same process. Coated a sheet of glass, sensitized it, exposed it, and developed a glass negative. And then that glass negative gets placed onto my sensitized paper, exposed to direct sunlight for about 10 minutes, and then brought inside and washed under tap water, and the final image comes up. This is called a cyanotype because it's blue. The chemicals are two iron salts that are mixed together, and I painted those on the paper to create this image. Another application is to create an ambrotype, the same silver image on glass, but then the back of it is permanently sealed with asphaltum. So this is one of a kind positive. It's called an ambrotype, and the word ambrotype was developed from the Greek word ambrotos, which means imperishable. So once you get your silver image on glass and you process it properly and you seal it up with asphaltum, it's virtually imperishable unless you drop it and the glass shatters. But the term ambrotos, the Greek term ambrotos, speaks a lot about the archival quality that your final image has if treated properly. This process, the glass negative, do not necessarily have to create a cyanotype with it. Another option is to create what's called a Van Dyke print. The Van Dyke print is using iron salts again, but this process, these particular chemicals create a brown image. So it's not quite as bizarre as a cyanotype, the blue image. Very interesting though. The third aspect of the wet plate collodion process is to create a tintype. This may be one of the more popular elements of the process, contemporary elements of it. This is a piece of aluminum that was painted black, and I coated it with my chemicals. I coated it with my collodion, sensitized it in my silver nitrate, and then exposed it through my camera, and then taken to my darkroom and processed and developed the image. So this is one of a kind, positive. It's on metal, fairly indestructible. This is what was very popular during the Civil War. Photographers were traveling around making tintypes of the soldiers. Small scale, much smaller format, permanent images on basically whatever material was available. They would take tin, they would take steel, they coat it with asphaltum to create a black background, and then they would coat it with their light sensitive materials to make the image. And it was very inexpensive at the time. Great benefit for the soldiers. to have a token image of themselves to send home to their family and loved ones. So, quick introduction to the wet plate process. I'll show you some of my equipment, the camera, and chemicals now. Okay, this is my camera. This is a large format camera that I built a few years ago. Found a bunch of interesting wood at a yard sale and downloaded some plans from the internet and spent several months building it and got a functioning camera. It actually works. This lens is one I bought. It is an antique lens from the 1860s that was designed and actually used for the wet plate process back in the 19th century. The reason I built one, I wanted a camera that kind of matched the looks of it, matched the aesthetics of the wet plate collodion process. So it's a large format. It has a bellows that connects the back standard to the front standard. This bellows allows me to focus on things that are closer or things that are far away. If I'm doing a landscape, then this will become much more compressed because the landscape is further away, something big, further away from the camera. If I'm doing a close-up of someone's face, then I would need to expand this much further out to get a closer focus. Looking in the back, it's just an open container, an open vessel basically. We've got the frame on the back. This particular camera, the size of the plate or the size of the image is kind of determined by the opening in the back. So this is maximum size is about 10 inches, 10 by 10. This is a plate I made using this exact setup, tintype. To focus, we have to use a focusing screen, so this just snaps on the back like this, and then I'm able to look through the frosted glass at my subject, compose and focus. I've got to do all that, while underneath the dark cloth, because otherwise you get too many reflections. You can't see through the glass very well. So once everything is composed and focused properly, then I pull this off. Then I put my film back on there. Film back is also another light tight box. The wet plate would go in the back here, rest on this ridge so it doesn't touch the dark slide, and then I lock it up, secure it. I have to load this in the dark room underneath the safe light. And this is the dark slide, comes in and out. Once it's loaded and I'm ready to take the picture, this locks on the back. Like so. Adjusted. So that locks on the back, and then when I'm ready to take the picture, I pull the dark slide out, wait for my heart to settle, wait for everything to stop moving, and then I make the exposure, close the dark slide, pull this off, and then take this package to the dark room and open it up and process my plate, keeping my fingers crossed the whole time.